All right, let me try and turn this light out here. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for coming out because it definitely feels like more like a stay by the fireplace kind of night with this late rain. It's really kind of confusing. 2 days ago, I was out with shorts with some kids doing photography, and now we're back to our woolies again. So, as I usually like, I want to just start out to see if there are any questions about what we've come across or what we've done so far. Really, it's okay to ask questions. Hmm? Well, please ask questions. Our group is getting a little bit smaller. It's not going to work if you don't ask questions because I don't want you to fall behind because everything is kind of foundational and builds up on each other. So please. And I got a SSD, which I originally was going to put all the pictures on, and then work from both computers. That didn't work out, and I've got a catalog on there, and I've got folders everywhere. So I'm just totally overwhelmed. I don't know what to do with it. Is that something that I need to see after class at some time? I want to try and address it, but right now that's under the all other scenarios kind of thing. I just want to look and to do something that we'll all do together, which is from here forward downloading images from a memory card. Yeah. Yeah. So the idea of Lightroom is that you really need to work in one main catalog and not work on catalogs back and forth. My recommendation, if you do want to have more of a mobile approach to Lightroom, at this point, I would recommend that you put the photos that you want to work with in a collection and then download the program called Lightroom, not to be confused with Lightroom Classic, and those images will automatically sync to that collection and then to work in that program. And those changes, because Lightroom will treat Lightroom, Lightroom Classic will treat Lightroom like a collection, all those changes will automatically get updated to your catalog. So then you don't have to switch back and forth between, drives and this and that kind of thing for the most part. Um, hmm So the only time that I would probably really make an exception if you are blessed to have probably two residences where you really have two kind of dedicated computers for photography in both locations where you'd have a decent monitor. In that case, then I would probably recommend that you keep your catalog and your photos on one hard drive and then just simply migrate that back and forth between the two computers, but most of us aren't that lucky, I think. And that's kind of a variation of what I've done when I travel. Um, when I used to travel, I'd bring a laptop, I'd create a travel catalog, I would store the catalog on the jump drive along with the photos, use the computer as a backup, come home, import from another catalog. Inevitably, I wouldn't pick the right folder or the directory, and then I'd have to let download and then move over, and all that's behind me because I simply travel with a iPad mini, a newer one, so it's a USB-C connection. I can download the images from my card to the iPad that I've shot in a day, and it takes less than 30 seconds for a day's shooting, so that's pretty good. And then those are all in Lightroom, and then I just, work on them. I give them star ratings if I want. I flag them, and then I work on optimizing them. And when I go snorkeling, sure, just close the lid, put the snorkel on, go swimming, and then come home and then turn on my computer, and then all the changes will automatically sync back to my catalog. It's like, how wonderful is that? So that works out really great. Nope, 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 nope. You don't need two subscriptions because you can have Lightroom Um, hmm Yes. Yeah. The Lightroom app. Hmm. Yes. I want to say like 95%. So we don't have the ability to select people and people's features as we do. But there's a little workaround for that, without getting too detailed. But you can create presets in Lightroom Classic and then load them into Lightroom, and those presets will sync to your devices. So I can say select person, and it will do so, and it works out great. I don't know. That's the best answer I can tell you. The only thing I can think of is to sell more storage space, because Lightroom requires you to upload your images to their servers. Um, they've now made it so that you can actually point the program essentially to a folder of images so you don't have to upload them, but kind of defeats the purpose because they're not synced to your other devices. So I don't know. Um, the other version of Lightroom doesn't have the ability to print. You can't use plugins, and plugins are little programs that work within Lightroom to add functionality to it. So it's something that's perplexed me for a while. Because you don't have to upload all your images. And so if you uploaded all your images, you would blow through your 20 gigabytes in about 3 weeks. And then you have to upgrade to the $20 a month plan. And, you know, now you're up to what, 260 a year. And then you don't even, then you only have a 1 terabyte of storage. So most photographers have reasonably over that, especially with the new cameras that are such high resolution. So I don't have to worry about that. So I use Backblaze, and so I can back up as many hard drives as I can connect to one computer for $70 a year. And then I've got the space with Lightroom. Now, when you do travel, that 20 gigabytes is not going to go very far, so I do need to tell you, and in fact, I should try and figure out a link because they really hide it well, to be able to increase your storage on a monthly basis. So they don't make it easy at all, because it's they don't have a tier between 20 gigabytes and 1 terabyte. So occasionally I've seen programs or Lightroom on people's computers, and I've got one friend and her storage says 100 gigabytes. Well, there's no 100 gigabyte plan. So I don't know. Oh gosh, yeah. I don't need all my images on all my devices, and without going into too much detail, some things count against your storage and other things don't. So I'd have to look that up. So like some things don't count against your storage, and when you sync images from your phone, or rather from desktop classic, you're not syncing the whole image. You're syncing a smart preview. So it's a lot smaller in size, so it travels a lot easier. Hmm? No. It would stay on Adobe's cloud server probably. So no, you work on the smart previews. Yeah, you would probably need to. Uh, in the Lightroom program, correct? Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Correct. Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So in that way, it's a terabyte still will go pretty far. So, but you know, for most people, they don't need it. The $10 a month program plan will work fine. So, well, which way do you want to go? Do you want images to go from the computer to the phone, or the phone to the computer? Yes, and you want those images to appear on the phone? Yeah. So what you have to do is really easy. You just check this little checkbox next to a collection. It can only be a collection. It cannot be a smart collection or a collection set. Only collection. And then you can uh, say, up, and then when you do that, it syncs to Lightroom, and then it will appear on your phone and your other devices. Yeah. Well, you don't need to do the import because the physically import, because if you have Lightroom on your phone, you can set it up so that those images sync automatically to your computer. Now, um, I'm not sure what you mean. Well, it's not a smart collection. It's just I want to call it a stupid collection. So it's just a simple collection. Sorry, collections. Didn't mean to be pejorative there. Yeah, yes. Now, hmm? No, I wouldn't even go that far because, it's just a collection. Who cares what it's for? It'll just show up there anyhow. So, one thing that I will tell you is that there is a plugin to be able to sync smart collections to your phone. So it takes a little bit of thinking through about it to learn how to set it up. And maybe I should make a handout for it. There is a video on it, but there is a guy named Jeffrey Friedel, I believe, that has been working on making just some really interesting plugins for Lightroom over the years. And one of them is thinking smart collections. And it's kind of ingenious how he's done it, because this program will take a smart collection and then make a collection out of it that is called a syncable companion, essentially. And then that is synced to your phone. And he also sets it up so that it will scan periodically to keep current. And so that's really handy. So I've actually done that. And the guy is just so nice because it's donationware. So you like it, you can give him $1, but, give him something decent because he's made all these plugins. I think probably $10 is reasonable for each version of Lightroom until they upgrade it. And it's just handy because I can then download my images uh, and have a smart collection that says all the photos I've shot this month, with my Nikon or my Sony. And then they appear on my phone automatically, and I don't even have to think about it. So it's really pretty handy, that functionality, to have that. So, but obviously I'm jumping ahead of myself here. Um, but it just shows you how much um, the program has really matured over the years and how much functionality there really is in it. So kind of coming back to where we are, any questions about, I want to say, downloading images, the different ways of viewing them in terms of the grid modes, loop view, survey, or compare? Please. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Um, well, let me see. Um, is that with the preset that you created? Yeah. So your preset is downloading by year and then by day. So we may want to go in and take a look at it and change that to make sure that it's the fourth preset down. So if we look here, just to jump back, go into import and then grab a preset, import new photos, and then when you look on the right-hand side where it says date by date format, you want the fourth one down. No, this would be under destination. The fourth one down. Do you see it up here? Well, you don't need to select it. You just need to check your import preset. So that's just what you need to do now to check it. Because the beauty of the import preset is you never have to check it again. So that's what I would just say is to check it. And the other thing is to make sure that you actually use the preset when you import your images. So you always need to check down here at the bottom that it says import new photos. Because unfortunately there's no little lock to make sure that always is enabled. So So that would probably be my guess. Either you didn't check the preset or the preset is off. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so we checked that XMP sidecar. It's the last one of options under catalog settings. The XMP is a small little text file that is an insurance policy, I want to say, written for each photo. So if something were to happen to your catalog and it becomes corrupt and your backups become corrupt and we get hit with some neutron bomb that wipes out our catalogs, but we're still able to re-import our image and the XMP files, then it will retain our, importantly, our last developed settings as well as keywords and star ratings. Yeah. No, no, not at all. It's Yeah, and it really annoys me that it's not set as a default because it's I think just a good thing to do. Yeah, they may be able to. Some may. I can't quote what may, but yeah. Well, I'm not so sure about the Lightroom settings, but the keywords and the star ratings it should. Not necessarily, because I think those are, in to specific to Lightroom. Just like I don't think you could get the correct settings when you imported aperture libraries into Lightroom. So that was Apple's program. Yes. You can just select and drag them in. So that's, I think, about the only way that you can, come to think of it, add a picture to a collection that has already been created. So I think so. I don't think you can right click and say add to collection and scan through it. Yeah, I would probably, um, you know, uh, select all the images and then remove them. You don't want to delete them because you've got them on your hard drive. So what you could just do is then, hmm? Oh, okay, in that case, then select them all and then just delete them because you have a copy of them elsewhere, right? Okay, so yeah, you could do that. Other questions? Okay. All right. So, excuse me, continuing on our download workflow. So we've looked at the images in a variety of ways. So we've determined what are our picks, what are our unflagged photos, and what are our rejected photos. So we're going to leave the rejected photos until the end of the whole process. And what we're going to do is go into our quick collection, and since that's where we should be working after import, because we've had these images assigned to the quick collection, and no, you have a quick collection. Um, so the quick collection is going to be accessed under the navigator on the left-hand side. So if you look underneath where it says catalog, you'll see where it says quick collection. So yeah, so it's a collection. It's just not located with the other collections. So it's kind of a special designation. So what we want to do is we want to be working in the quick collection now. And so what we want to do is we want to remove the unflagged images from the quick collection because by definition, we don't care enough about them to want to actually put them into a regular collection. So what we can do then is then just change our flag status here and say show us only the unflagged photos. And hmm, um, I believe so. So that's what we were going through at the end of last class to flag photos. That was the practice I sent out to flag and unflag, to work on flagging photos. So no, no what? In Google Classroom. Um, are you in a browser? Are you looking at the Google Classroom in a browser? I don't send out emails generally. What I do send out are things through Google Classroom. So they're read within Google Classroom. You may get an email saying that there is an announcement or an assignment or material, but you should be directed to Google Classroom for the additional details of that. Yes, I can't help you with that. That's a Google issue. So I need some way of communicating with people, and the best way at this point is Google Classroom. So, okay. Yes. Well, let's just focus right here for this workflow. Then we can go through it. And as we go through some of these steps, it will become apparent. But I want us to kind of all be on the same page doing the similar thing so it makes sense all together. Okay. So have other people gone through and flagged images? We're not filtering. We're just clicking on an image and giving it a P for pick, a U for unflagged, or an X for rejected. So, and again, when you have the cap lock on your left side of your keyboard and you give an image a P, U, or an X, it will automatically advance to the next image. So what we're wanting to do is in the quick collection, go down to our filters and say, show us only the unflagged images. So we'll right click. So I say only unflagged photos. You can also get to it from the drop down, the far left side of the three presets that we created, the unflagged, flagged, and then the last one, the flagged and unflagged photos. So generally I'll look at images as flagged and unflagged with the idea that when I hit X for reject, then it won't uh, be visible. It will have not been deleted, but it just won't be something that I have to continually look at. So what I'm going to do then is, because I don't really care about those unflagged photos, I will select them all. So you can do Control or Command, Control on a Mac, or Command, Control on a PC, Command on a Mac, and Control or Command A will select all of the images that are unflagged, so you can see them because they have that brighter uh, selection around them. So that shows that these images are all selected. And then to toggle an image in and out of a quick collection, the keyboard shortcut is B. So when I hit B, you'll see briefly, it will show on the screen that those images are removed from the quick collection. Wait, one question at a time, please. What? Yeah. Well, you mean B? B simply toggles an image in and out of the quick collection. So what we're doing is removing the unflagged images from the quick collection. Another question? Yeah. Well, P on the keyboard. Yeah. You can flag it by pressing a button, but I think that's harder than just hitting PU or X on the keyboard. I mean, you could um, click the drop down on the right hand side here and then choose flagging, and then you would have the flags down here at the bottom. But I think that that may be a little bit confusing. Um, that's a what if question, and the answer is it just is, because there are just not enough letters on the keyboard to conveniently be assigned to the mnemonic that seems like it would go with it. So you just have to commit it to memory and not resist it, because that's just going to be how it is. Um, okay. So I just threw some images back in here because I didn't have any pics in my collection. So now conceivably, these are the images that I care about. Um, and so these are the flagged images. So what we need to do to show them after we remove the unflagged images, we have to change the filter here to say then show us our flagged images, and then all your images will pop back up. So don't gasp when you hit B, remove all your unflagged images and you don't see anything because you have, by definition, said only show me the unflagged images. And so when you change the flag back to show me the flagged images, then the images that we care about will show up. Does that make sense? Yes, no? Um, what is there something specific that I can address that would make it more clear? Okay, it's on the hand on this importing new photos. We also talked about it during last class. P is for pic. U, there's three letters. Three letters, P, U, and X. If you really wanted to, you can enable it on the, as I just showed, on clicking this drop down and then have the flags show up here. But I think that is more cumbersome than just uh, picking a photo, so PU or an X. So I have the keyboard, and so when we go through flagging our images, we have three types of images in the quick collection. Our picked images, our unflagged images, and the rejected images. So we have told Lightroom to initially say, show the flagged and the unflagged photos. So when we hit X and reject an image, it will disappear from view and we don't have to continually look at it. Then when we've gone through this of looking at our images through either the grid, the loop view, or the survey or compare, then we have determined which are our picks, the ones that we want to work with. And so then we tell it to remove the unflagged photos from the quick collection, since we generally don't care about those because we haven't assigned them as being a pick. So those are then all removed from the quick collection. Does that make sense? Okay. Um, so now we have our flagged images, and then we want to, if we wanted to, um, I think for the sake of clarity for right now, I want to leave out renaming since it's not really essential. The easiest way is to rename your images at the end of the month if you don't need to send them out to anybody for any reason. And that way, what you could just do is click on the month of your photos. So, like, say I only have two photos here, and then I would select them all, and then I would just say photo, and then I believe, where to go, library, and then rename. The keyboard shortcut for that is F2, and then I would just grab my preset that I created, and it will say, what number do you want to start at? And I'll say 1, and then that will rename all the images in that month. Yeah. And that's the easiest way if you just wait till the end of the month. If you do it midway in the month, then you just have to see what's the last image that you renamed and then have that start one after that last one that is in your month. So if we wanted to, we can further refine our review or ratings of the images by give them stars as well too. So if you wanted to refine them a little bit further, you could give them 1 to 5 stars. And my recommendation is that you just give probably 1 to 3. Um, I and you can figure out a system that may work well for you, but I kind of figure a flag and a star are about the same. So I kind of don't use 1 stars a lot, but I'll give an image 2 stars if it's similar to another image, but I like it better. And then 3 stars would be something that I'd be willing to print, hang on the wall, and put my name underneath it. And then I don't really use 5 stars, and maybe 4 is like, wow, this is like one of my best images ever. And maybe you'll have maybe a couple of those a year, if that, perhaps. So I tend to encourage people not to be overly generous with stars because too many stars doesn't help you differentiate your images very well. It doesn't give you any room to kind of expand or to grow into. So I have a someone I work with, and every image she likes, she gives it a 5 stars, and I just have to kind of be quiet about it because it works for her. So, and again, the stars are easy. It's 1 to 5 on the keyboard. So I find that keyboard settings are, again, a lot easier than if you were to click this drop down and and then add the ratings here. And this is particularly an issue if you are principally working on a laptop, because there's just going to be a limit of what you can add to this toolbar here. And I think it gets a little confusing when you have stars up here and then stars down here. So after a while, you're just going to be seeing stars. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. Okay, so the keyboard shortcuts, as I said, I try to really distill the ones that I use on a daily basis. And so that's why I condensed it to a half a page for each module. And so that's my recommendation. So now that we've got the ratings with stars, we can talk about keywording. So again, I will emphasize that you can be entirely fully organized and never use keywording. And keywording is a little bit of a pain. And keywording will be something that we probably laugh at in a couple years because the built-in AI will just keyword our images for us to some degree. And there are already programs that do it. But I find that so far they haven't really worked very well because giving a keyword to an image is not the same as giving a keyword that you want to use. So that's an important thing as well too. And the only reason that I would say that you really want to use keywords is if you want to speed up the process of finding your images. Because if you use keywords effectively, you can probably find any image in 5 seconds or less if you really do a good job with it. And I may use collections as a general group, like maybe I'll have a collection of flowers, but then I may give the keyword based on the type of flower or the colors of the flower, so something that is a bit more descriptive. So I'll use collections as a grouping, and then the keywords as being more descriptive and granular in that level. So if you do want to work with keywords, I did send out that keyword list for you to have. So what we can do is we can import that keyword list into Lightroom. And let me just see what that is. Let me just get rid of this one. Yeah, let me just get rid of all these, just to make it easier, since I don't care about this catalog. Okay, so right now there are no keywords or keyword lists in my catalog at all. And so I got tired of the idea of thinking all my students were coming up with their own keyword lists, is because there's not really a really standardized keyword list. And so it's sort of like collections, and that the things that are important to you may not be important to other people. Like, so if you're an entomologist, your keyword list is going to look very different than someone who is really into sailing. So you may have a lot more descriptive, maybe even Latin names for different insects. So nonetheless, I got tired of thinking that all of my students were um, putting together their own keyword list. So I went on the internet and I off some keyword lists that were available, massaged them, added my own lists, and re-exercised my word processing skills back from my days with the county. And I've cobbled together a list. And what we can do is import that keyword list. So to import that list, hopefully you've saved it to someplace that you can navigate to easily. And if we go up to metadata, we can go down to third from the bottom where it says import keywords. And so we click on that, and then it will allow us to navigate to where we have our keyword list. So I will navigate to where my keyword list is. So again, it's that one that says Lightroom Keywords 2024. And so all you need to do is to select it, and then through the miracle of modern technology, you have imported the keyword list right here. It's a, yeah, I can't help that because, well, well, I don't want to embarrass myself falling off the table, but maybe before everyone leaves, I'll go up and see if I can lower that projector because it's on this little top edge because they haven't aligned it correctly. So, so at the, yeah. So at the top we have the menu bar. So you'll see file, edit, library, photo, and then metadata. So again, go to metadata, down to the third from the bottom, and it says import keywords, and then click that, navigate to where you save that keyword text file on your computer, and then it will bring it in. TXT, yeah. Hmm. Well, you could just change the suffix. Oh, you saved it as a PDF? Yeah. You don't know. You can just, you can leave the program open. You don't have to close the program to look for something else. But it should be in the email. So what you can just do is save that text file. So as I said, save the file. Don't convert it. Don't. I try to be as literal as possible to save you this because otherwise it won't work. Hmm? What is grayed out? Have you saved that file? Import keywords. It's right here. Lightroom keywords. Grayed out. Um, well, I don't know where you saved it. Right has there, it been has it been downloaded or is it? It's on here. Show me in Finder where it is. Right there, Lightroom keywords. And so why don't you put it on your desktop? And can you drag that over to your desktop? Yeah. Okay. Metadata, import keyword, go to the desktop. Lightroom, where'd it go? It's right up here. Yeah, it's grayed out. I don't know why it's grayed out. How did you save it? I don't remember now. Okay, it's okay. What type of yeah. Okay, let me see. Here, try this. Thank you. Yeah, I also want to put it in my desktop drive. It should be there. Under location. Yeah. It's not there. It's not showing up. What was the letter to get the G can get you to the grid mode. Yeah, it didn't show up. Yeah. Something's wrong. You may have not allow access to the disk. So, because I don't know why this isn't showing up, and that. So I think it may be a permissions thing that you may not be letting other drives on your. Does anyone else have an issue with getting the text file or get back where? Where? So you're here.
Right, but I was trying to get back to where the main bar was.
It's up here. Here. Here, is that what you're wondering?
No, the metadata. Oh, there's metadata. Okay.
Have you imported them?
No.
Do you know where they are?
No.
Your keyword? The text?
Oh, yeah.
Where you saved it? Did you save that text file on your computer? Okay. Yeah. So it's not showing up on this drive is not showing up on his computer. I don't know. You don't have to edit. You don't have to check. What stuff? The photo, all the stuff that you should be showing. Well, you just move your cursor up there. Just move the cursor up to the top. What photo? Green, right? Yeah. Oh, you have it hidden. Yeah. There's metadata. No, but he can't. His computer won't read my drive. So I don't know if there's some permission that, I gave him this drive. Oh, there's a thing in Google where you have permissions or not. No, this isn't Google. This is just my drive. You do it from the drive. Yeah. But did you get the email? Yeah. But it's not accessible. It's grayed out, and I don't know why. And you may need to go into if you go into system settings, and you may need to tell Lightroom to give it full disk access. So go, what? Well, then you're right. So there may be some other permission that I don't know about your computer.
It's on the drive? We airdropped it to me.
She's got it.
Okay. Does anyone else need the file? Okay.
Download.
Lightroom text?
Yeah. There you go.
Got it.
Okay. Do you want to reject this, or you'll get some message saying?
Oh, what do I do?
Well, I can probably just do this and
yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm
In Lightroom? You go to the keyword list, and wait, let me see something. Yeah, that file wasn't correct, unfortunately, because it was a flat file, and so it didn't retain the folder structure. So it really has to be the text file that I sent you. But it's more than just yeah. Yes. So you need a copy of the text file? You want the keyword list that I sent you. So but I sent it through the classroom or through the email. You you can't just download the file from an email. You can't just save the attachment.
It comes through Google, so you can't. It's not like a text attachment that you can put on your desktop or anywhere else.
Really?
It takes you to Google, and then through Google you have to download it.
Um,
Text file.
Is it in download? Oh, no, there it is.
Usually, because you sent it through Google Classroom, I think it's working.
no, I sent it. Well, I sent it through the email program. Okay. Okay. Now you have it, and see now you have the hierarchy
Okay.
of these. Okay.
Okay.
Does somebody else need this? Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, so we,
No, don't.
No?
No.
See, these are the format.
I don't.
Oh, that's the one. That works.
Which one?
The rich text. First I say, oh, that was the first one.
Wait. Can we just go into Lightroom and see what you have?
Yeah. See, it didn't say the hierarchy.
Yeah. So can we get rid of this?
Sure.
I did the same thing. I saved you the text and it didn't use the hierarchy.
When I,
So why don't you go up to metadata and then purge unused keywords? Okay. And then go to metadata and import keywords. Okay, and there it is.
Text file. That's what I did. And I clicked choose, and that's why I didn't use the hierarchy.
And that's the one that you got from the.
I was there.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Boy, Google is really messing with me. They are not making this easy at all.
I think if you just sent it as a,
It needs to be a text file. So. Let's see, where's my drive? Metadata, import keywords.
so you do a Word photography.
Okay, there you go. Yep. I guess so. I apologize that Google is just giving me headaches twice. Not being able to download a text file from Classroom and, then not being able to save a text file from the email. So you can't just like click on that attachment in the email and say like save as, download. Huh.
No, that's what I was saying before.
Yeah. Wow.
You can't even copy and paste on the list. If you copy it and then try to paste it into the program, it comes out blank.
Right.
I have an idea.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll have to do that. Yeah. Okay, I'll send it again. And have you figured out about your computer accessing additional drives?
No.
Like this one? Okay. It may be a permissions issue that, so. Yeah. Yeah, that's what, yeah. But people are telling me that they can't save that file from the email. Yeah. Yeah, I sent it through the email when people told me that they couldn't download it through the Classroom. Whatever is in your Google Classroom. Okay. All right. We got some ground to cover here, so let's just jump back into this. So okay. So if you look at the first set here, I do have some instructions. So let's just kind of go through these and see what they say. So to view the instructions, double click, and that's where I've put in um, some instructions. So my first instruction is anything with an asterisk um, in the people section down below with an asterisk needs to have the name either changed, duplicated, or removed. So what I have done in terms of trying to organize people, I have there's basically two groups of people that I care about, either friends or family. Now, people may have a category of people of, you look outraged. You're my friends. Now, there are some people that may want to have like a list of professions. I found most people didn't need that. Most people aren't doing stock photography. So I tend to have two groups of people I care about, family and friends. And so under family, and if you can figure out something that would work better for you, that's fine. And what I've done is I've combined my immediate family at birth with my immediate family now. So if you look there, I've combined either my child 1 or child 2, and then me. So obviously I would change that to my name. And then if you have a sibling, you would change them. So to change a name here, like if to change child, if I double click on that, then I have the ability to then type in the correct name. So I could just put in uh, one of our, no, take the asterisk out. So just put in what makes sense there. If you don't have one or two siblings or two or three siblings or don't have any, then just go ahead and select them, and then you could right click them and then just say delete. And so just get rid of that sibling that you may not uh, need a use for that placeholder. So you could just go ahead and delete that. Um, no, just listen to me, please. Don't read the whole text. I just want to get through this. So again, if you want to rename that, double click on it. If you don't need it, then go ahead and delete. So let's just kind of go along with this, and then I'll take questions at the end. Obviously, for me, you would double click on that and change it to your name. And then I have a spouse or significant other. So again, you could double click that and then fill that in. And then if we click that to extend it, either from, let's start out with me, then you can see that I have my dad and then my mom, so I would put their names in there. And then if I click my dad's side, then I would start to put in relatives, so aunts, uncles, um, those kinds of relations. And so if you want to insert a keyword, you can click the keyword above where you want it to go, and then you can right click on it or the equivalent and say, create keyword tag inside dad. So, excuse me. So then if you wanted to add like a, you know, aunt, uncle, or so, so obviously you're going to need to change this so it would fit to your family situation. Um, Under family, or rather under friends, I don't go to extensive keywording. I basically put families together. So we have friends named Terry and Gary. I have a keyword of Terry and Gary. Everybody in their family will get the same keyword. I don't care, even their kids. So I'm not going to go to the ridiculous detail to keyword necessarily all my friends' children. I'll just put them under, say, you know, a couple. Terry and Gary into it that way. And that seems to have worked out well for me. So one of the things that we want to do is if you look at this last uh, one, it says Z unsorted people. So what we want to do is do right click or the equivalent and then choose the um, second one from the bottom that says put new keyword, new person keywords inside this keyword. The reason being that we, if we start adding keywords, either people keywords or regular keywords into our list, Lightroom will have no idea where we want them to go. So it will just throw them into the list alphabetically, which makes kind of sorting through it a little bit of a mess. So what we can do for a keyword that doesn't exist is say put it here, and then you can drag that keyword to where it needs to go later on. So as we start to work with this, it will start to make a little bit more sense. So that maybe, let's see, is that the instruction 2? Come on. Okay, that's instruction 1. Number 2 is, so we want to essentially do the same thing at the very end of the list where it says Z unsorted. Z unsorted. Right click again or the equivalent, and then this time we're going to choose the one third from the bottom that says put new keywords inside this keyword. So again, the idea being that if we have new keywords that don't exist that we add to them, Lightroom will just throw them into the list alphabetically, and it will kind of make a mess of things pretty soon. So what we can do is put the unsorted ones there. And let's see if there's any additional instructions. And yeah, I think that should do it. And so once you're done with the instructions, um, if we delete that keyword essentially where the instructions are, it will also delete all the keywords or the instructions underneath it. So know that essentially the keyword list is like a tree. If you cut off a branch, you will also cut off the subsequent keywords below it as well too. And that can be very handy. So if you find and you look through this keyword list and it's a little deceptively simple, that you would never use a keyword, perhaps, I don't know, to designate a time of day, meaning morning or afternoon or evening. That's just not important to you. Well, you could just delete that time of day keywords, and then all of those ones underneath it will be deleted as well too. So we could just, once we have that, uh, we could just go ahead and say delete, and then it will delete the instructions. And now you can see I just have my keyword list of people, and then what, and then I have keywords underneath there. Then I have when, and probably the extensive one is going to be where. So if you look under where, and we look under North America, and then we go into the United States, you can see that we have the states, and for each state, just obviously go to California. Where's my mouse? Come on. So if we open up California, we can see that I've put in the national parks in the state, and then we also have a category for California state parks as well too. So I've got the full list of the parks. I've talked about this. Can I just go through this right now? So keywords are going to be for specifics. So collections would be a general category. So I may have a collection of maybe, redwoods, but then I may give it a keyword based on the location of it. So I may click, if I took it in Sequoia or I took it up at Humboldt redwoods, so that if I wanted to find out all the flagged images that I took at Humboldt State Park, then I can do a search for that. So that's when I would use a keywording. Yeah. Drag it. Drag and drop. So you can just click on where it went and then click and then drop it, and it will go ahead and put it there. So this should be a pretty good extensive list for traveling, obviously not just in California, but in the United States, as I tried to include all the national parks in each state. I guess I haven't included the state parks. I wasn't going to go that far. And so you can see that these lists will expand and contract by clicking on the little triangle on the left-hand side of that category. So I can collapse the United States down. And I guess the world is expanding, because when I was growing up, there were, I think, only 7 continents. Now I think we have Oceania as well, too. So there you go. Okay, so now that we have a keyword list, let's talk about the different ways that we can keyword, or the order that I would generally go with keywording. So one of the things that we want to make sure is that we only spend time keywording our picked images, because it doesn't make sense to spend time keywording all our images, including the unflagged images, because it would take longer, and they're also going to show up when you search for them. And there's not a good reason to search for images that we really don't care about. So while we are working in this quick collection, what we can do is, I guess I don't have many photos here of people, but just to show you how the facial recognition works, if I've got some people hiding in here. The facial recognition is going to be down at the bottom of the view options. So the keyboard shortcut is O, just like, oh, like you're amazed, I don't know. But it's this little squirrely picture, this little icon of a person. And what you can do is click on this, and it will go through your catalog and start finding people. Now, kind of thinking this through a little bit, we can refine this a little bit further, because when you start identifying some people, then you might as well probably click on your all photos list, but making at the top here, so it will identify previous people, but then make sure that you've only selected your flagged photos. I'm just going to leave this flagged and unflagged for right now. But to give you an idea of how this works is you can also go ahead and hit the tab button, and that will hide the side panels since they're really not needed, and that will give you a bit more real estate. We can also change the size of the thumbnails as well too in the lower right corner. So you can see we can make them fairly big, but you really don't need to have a large thumbnail to identify people. And so what Lightroom will do is it will start going through your catalog and start identifying people and then start stacking them together. And so you can see in the upper left corner that there is a number, and that indicates how many photos that Lightroom has found that it has stacked together. And then when you're ready to name that person, what you can do is you click underneath them, and now I can just type in the name and say enter, and then it goes up to the top of named people. And then what you can do is you can select images by, if you're on a Windows, hold the Control key. If you're on a Mac, I believe the Command key. And then you can just click and hold and select more than one image. And so I could go through here and select all the ones of our son Avi, and then I can drag the images up here and they get included onto the stack. And it will start giving you suggestions of people, like, is this person Avi? And you could say, well, no, it's not. And you could just highlight that and then type in the name of who this is. So I will type in Karen, and if it has correctly identified somebody, it will go ahead and I'll just rename this one. And then when it starts identifying people that look similar, like it will say, is this person who it thinks it is? And if it is that person, then you could click the check mark on the left to indicate that it is, or what you could do is then click the no symbol on the right-hand side saying, no, this isn't Avi, and then it will allow you to just click in there and then type in who it is. And sometimes there will be people, perhaps people that Lightroom has discovered because you photographed a scene and it happened to have a bus with an advertisement on it, and we'll pull up a picture and say, is this your Uncle Bill? And you can say, it's not, and I don't know who it is, and I don't care. So you can essentially remove that person from this named list. So I could go in here and I can say, I don't know who this is, and I don't really care about them. So I will remove this person as being someone I'm interested or wanting to keyword. Yes. Yeah. It will identify the facial selection in each photo. So if I actually look at this photo here and click on it, you can see that it's identified Ezra and Avi. And it's trying to identify Ellie, our dog, as well, too. No, I don't really want to do that. I want to have individual um, keywords for each of my kids. Yeah. And what's really interesting is this this guy over here, the first one, he's 20 now. And so it's actually done a pretty remarkable job of identifying throughout his life. So that's been really interesting. So it will do that, and it's really great. And so, say that you inadvertently like drag someone over, and put me here, and I go like, oh wait, I didn't do that right. I'm obviously not Ezra. Then what I could do is double click on this, and it will bring up all the people in that stack. And now I could just go in here and then rename this, or just delete it and hit return, and it will take them out of the named people list. Now, one thing that I wish that they would change on this is that if we have a bunch of people in that we're keywording, and if you scroll like all the way through here, this section up at the top where it says confirmed, it used to be called named people, it will not um, stick. So it will scroll through it. So it's a little frustrating that you can't lock it into place, but just know that you can. So just work with the number of rows that you can see at any time to add people to this keywording list here. And like I say, it can be kind of amusing when it grabs a pizza and it says, "Is this so and so?" And so it's a good late night activity if you want a keyword and you don't require a lot of brain cells. Then this is a good thing to do. So that's one way that you keyword. And so if I go ahead and get out of this section and hide the locks here, and I guess these people were already named, or let's see. Did I not do that right? So because Avi should be under unsorted people here. Let's see. But so these two should have been right in there. So when you have like keywords that you've added that don't fit into an existing list, then what you can do is then take these and drag the keyword to where it should go. So I would put Karen and Avi under family. So I'll just click that keyword and then drag it and drop it into family, and then it will put it into that list. So that's how I would keyword people. And so I do that first because if we can get the program to do it for us, then that would be ideal. Now, as I mentioned, there are 10 ways of keywording in Lightroom, but I only find 3, maybe 4 to be particularly useful. So those are the ones that I will show you. The next way that we can keyword is that we can use you have to be in the grid mode, so just remember that. There's this little spray can down here at the bottom, and we can paint in a number of different things. We could actually spray flag labels or ratings if we would want to, or even key or development settings, but most of the time I'm going to use this for keywording. And so if I were wanting to keyword, say, of Ellie, our dog here, I can say keywords here, and then I can click, and then I'll put the keyword that I want to put in. So I've got Ellie here and hit return. And so now, let me just show you my keywording here. Then if I click on an image here, then and then I click above the image so it's highlighted, then you can see that the keyword has been added on the right hand side here under the keyword. And you can actually use this like a spray can, so I can click and then drag across here. Any time that I see a photo with Ellie, just drag across. And you can see that if a photo has been given a keyword, it has this thin white border around it. And so anytime that I see Ellie, I can just go ahead and click, and then that will be assigned. So say that you inadvertently click on an image, and so obviously there's no Ellie here. So the question is, how do you erase a keyword? You can hold the Alt or the Option button, and then the spray can turns into an eraser. And now if I just click on that, it will eliminate that keyword from that photo. So say that you want to check your keywording as well too. So if I wanted to check to see if all these images had the keyword, again, if you want to select the image, you have to click above or below it. So say if I wanted to check all these images here, why is it not selecting all of these? I'm holding the shift key and wonder because I have the paint can, so that may be it. So uh, to select a range of them here, it looks like I can't have the paint can in my hand. And so if you look on the right-hand side here where it says keywords, keywording, and you see that I have some keywords and they have an asterisk after them, that means that not all the images selected have that keyword applied to them. But I want to make sure that all of these images have Ellie applied to them. So the easy thing to do is to just go up and erase that asterisk, and then that keyword will then be applied to all these images. So that's one way of double checking to make sure everything has the keyword that you want. It's going to be on the right-hand side under keywording. Yeah, if you click above it to select it, oops, and then you can see I have Ellie here, and then on this photo I have Ellie as well too, and this one I have Avi, Ellie, and Ezra. Okay. So that would be the spray can. So that's, I think, a useful tool. And then the last way that I'll keyword is simply by manually selecting an image and then typing in the keyword. And I will do this for, say, images that I don't have enough to really warrant using the spray can, the painter tool. So like if I only have one image in a group of a certain thing, then I'll just go ahead and click that. And then I would go over here and then type in the keywords that may be, appropriate for that photo. And I recommend that you capitalize your letters, your first letter of a keyword, because it will make it easier to read. And then if you go ahead and put a comma to separate keywords, so if you use more than one keyword. Okay. So that's keywording. So those are the three ways that I recommend. So again, using the facial recognition to try and do as much work for you as possible. Then I would use the painting tool to spray on keywords. And then the last way would be to just click and just freezing this out, to just actually type them in. So any it doesn't look like I can turn the heat on. Well, they used to. We paid the bills this month. What happened? So if I were to say type Hawaii in here, okay, and then you can also search your keyword list. So if I go under the keyword list here, and I want to filter, I can just also type in Hawaii, and now if you click, if you see where the Hawaii is, and you'll see the number of images with that keyword. If I click the arrow to on the right, it will then show me all the images with that keyword. Yeah. Yeah. So because I use the keywording, the facial recognition, and I said put new person keywords inside this keyword, then they will appear under Z unsorted people, and then all other keywords will be under Z unsorted. So if I had some other keyword, it didn't rec- so it didn't recognize Ellie as the person because I didn't do her through the facial recognition. So it just threw her in here. So I would just click and then drag that up to family. And so do it that way. So keywording does take a little bit of time. It's not impossible. I one time keyworded 30,000 images. Didn't do it overnight. Did it over about 6 weeks. And I used to, uh, you know, say every image should have a keyword. And then I realized, well, it doesn't make sense because you just want to keyword your flagged images since those are the ones that you want to appear in searches anyhow. Okay, so that's keywording. And then I want to wrap up with collections. So underneath folders on the left-hand side, we will see collections. And if you click the plus next to collections, you'll see the option to create a collection, create a smart collection, or to create a collection set. So those are the three types of collections. Only two of those actually hold photos. So only collections and smart collections hold photos. Collection sets are more like a filing cabinet. They will hold either other collections, smart collections, or other collection sets. So you can nest collection sets within collection sets. So as an example, I'll have a collection set for events. And then within that, I will have a collection set for the year. And then underneath, I may have individual collections for, say, holidays or outings, or I may have another collection set for a vacation where I may have different cities in there, or I may have different themes, like if I'm really into boats or something like that, of the Greek islands, I can have that under there as well too. So it gives a little bit of flexibility. So collections are simply groups of images that you group together for any particular reason that you want. So one of the easiest ways of doing that is to select the images that you want to have in a collection and then click this plus and then say create collection, and you want to give the collection a name. So I'll just call this Hawaii. And, because maybe it was in a particular year. And I would probably, I don't know if I have it here because of this catalog, but then you can say include in a collection set. And so if this were my one at home, I would have one for events, and then I would put it probably within the year. So I'm making this one specific to that activity that year. And then you have the option to include selected photos. And then if this were my main Lightroom catalog, it would give me the option. It would have another box underneath to say sync with Lightroom. And then you could sync that collection, and then it would be available on other devices, as well as a gallery that you can share from on the web. The important thing is that you do not want to select this set as target collection, because right now our target collection is our quick collection. So if you were to grab that designation away from the quick collection, then anytime you hit B, an image would then go into this collection, which I don't want to do because it would obviously mess up my whole workflow and render it useless. So I make sure that that's not unchecked, or that's not checked. And then I can just say create, and then it would appear on the left side here. And that's funny, why didn't it add it? So it should have added this photo if, because I thought I had it say add the photo to the collection. If not, then you can just select the photo and then drag into it and then let go, and then it will be added. If you want to remove an image from the collection, it's really disconcerting. You hit delete. And obviously it's disconcerting because you feel like you're deleting your photo. You are not. You are only removing it from the collection that it's in. So it's not going to take it out of the catalog. Now, the very last type of collection that we have is what's called a smart collection. So to designate or see the different types of collections that we have on the left-hand side is this little box that it looks like a banker's box, but also easily there is no number on the right-hand side. So that's an easy way of identifying a collection set, because it will have no number designating how many images are in it, because again, a collection set can't hold images directly. If you see a collection here that has this little yellow gear on it, that is a smart collection. And then if you just see a simple collection here with no little gear icon on it, that's just going to be a simple collection. So a smart collection is going to be a collection that is created automatically based on criteria that you tell the program to use. It can be based on the flag status. So you could say, create a collection, smart collection of all my picked photos, or all my photos with a red color label, or a green color label, or shot with a particular camera, or a particular lens. And it would immediately create that collection. And so you cannot put an image into a smart collection and you can't take it out. Either it meets the criteria of that smart collection and it's in, or it doesn't and it's out. And so you can have multiple criteria of your smart collection. So if I said maybe make a smart collection and call it Ellie, because you don't want to make a smart collection and call it smart collection. And again, you have the option to put this within a collection set, and it will show you the different collection sets available that you've created. And you have the ability to match, and then the drop down is for either any, all, or none of the following criteria. So I would say every time I've made a smart collection, I'll say meet all the following criteria. And so you can then click this where I could say that the fixed flag is flagged. And if I wanted to add another criteria here, I can say maybe if I go into the keywording, where I can say other metadata is where you can search for keywords. I can click on that and say where the keyword contains Ellie. And then if that's sufficient, I can then go ahead and say create, and then it will go ahead and create the smart collection here. And so there should have been some added there because I know I have this keyword Ellie. So interesting why that other than keyword contains Yes. So this is interesting because it's not doing what it should. So whenever Lightroom doesn't do something that you think it should, you can restart it. Uh, let me just say to always file. Because that should actually have worked. I love it when the program makes me look foolish. Um, let's see if it figures it out. And that's really interesting. I'm not sure why this is. Oh, I know. Because probably none of them were actual pics. So it's not that if I just go ahead and redo this, I can just remove that criteria. Ta-da. So operator error wasn't the program. So then you can see it's automatically created based on the criteria. So none of them were picked, so none of them showed up. Why nothing showed up there? Because my other criteria, I had two criteria, that the keyword is Ellie and it's also a picked photo. So none of these photos were flagged. So you generally want to start out smart collections with is a flag so that it will just pull in the photos that are actually flagged, because that's generally what you want to have in your collection. Um, and the other thing I like to say is that um, smart collections can be expensive. So as an example, when Nikon came out with what I thought was the upgrade to my D700, the D750, I looked at the specs and I saw that the top shutter speed had been reduced from 8 thousandths of a second to 4 thousandths of a second. And so my first response was, well, 4 thousandths is still really fast. How often do I really shoot faster than 4 thousandths of a second? So I made a smart collection and I said, show me all the photos where the shutter speed is faster than 4 thousandths of a second. And boom, all of a sudden hundreds of images showed up of my son's soccer because I shoot at 5.6 at ISO 1600 on a sunny day, so I can shoot at 8 thousandths of a second, so I can see the stitches on the ball when it's kicked across the field. And I just looked at my computer and I said, well, that just cost me another $1,000 because I decided to get the D810 instead of the D750, which I have never regretted for an instant because it's just such a great camera that even though it's 10 years old, I have no interest in replacing anytime soon. So that's one of the things I also recommend is that when you're thinking about camera equipment, um, there's a person in the 60s, Colin Fletcher, wrote a book called The Complete Walker. And when asked which sleeping bag somebody should buy, he said, figure out what the most expensive bag that you can afford and then buy the one above it. And I generally find that that's been good advice throughout the years. Rarely have I been disappointed when I've spent more money or got something with more features. And the more money that you throw at your camera, the more problems you tend to be able to solve with it down the line. So I spent more money so I can have a lot of megapixels so I can make big images. I got a really good sensor in it so I don't have to worry at noise that I feel embarrassed to shoot compared to what I shot when we had film. And shot above 400 and things would look terrible. And now the only time you notice grain is when you show it to another photographer. So we have lots of great tools here. So you want to go ahead and make different collections. And I generally recommend that no collection should be in your collection on its own, meaning without being in a collection set, because you want to group things together so you don't just have a long list of collections. And that is principally how we would work with collections. And then the last thing that we could do is we can have a map module here as well too. So this is actually a Google map, and you'll need to be connected to the the internet. And this is why it's really handy to have a phone that shoots with GPS and shoot with that wherever you go, because these images will then show up as little markers on the map here, and then you can just go ahead and you'll see these markers. I guess I don't have any in this catalog. I'll have to add some. And then you could just simply click on them, and it would show you the images where you shot with your smartphone. And then if you wanted to add your other images from your dedicated camera, is that you could just select them from that collection and then drag them over to the map and drop it, and they'll just put a little marker there. So it's a handy way of just scrolling through the world when you have a lot of time to travel and see the photos that you've got from different places. You could do it by cities if you want. Yeah, you can just, type in, whatever city you want, and it would go right to it. And then just the very last thing that we would do on that list is, because Lightroom makes it difficult to actually delete images from your quick collection, I recommend that you just go back and click on previous import, and then go up to photo, and then click delete rejected photos, and there's nothing to reject, but you would get a message saying, do you want to remove the images from the catalog, or do you want to delete them from your hard drive? And the answer is you want to delete them from the hard drive, because you don't want images in your photo collection that aren't in Lightroom, because you would never know that they're there. So that would keep whatever's in Lightroom Photos folder consistent with what you have in your catalog. And that's the library module. Mm-hmm. Yes. I can talk a little bit more about searching, but we do have this search bar up here at the top. And so you can get to that through the / key. And then you'll see that we have 4 different types of search that we can do, by text, metadata, and attributes. So you can click here, and then the different metadata fields are in a drop down here. So then you could go ahead and search for it. And you can also save those searches as well too, which is essentially the same as a smart collection. But like maybe you want to have like a preset of just showing all your, say, black and white images or all your videos. You could add, create a little search criteria, and then you could go ahead and click and down here save it as a new preset. Just the last thing I'll mention, and I'll let you go, is there's a little lock here on the far right-hand side in the search bar. If you click it and toggle it, it will toggle it back and forth. my recommendation is leave it locked, because if you are, say, in one folder and you're searching for something, and then you think, oh, maybe it's in this folder, and you don't have it locked, and you click on another folder, well, it takes out your search criteria, and you have to type it in again. So it's just easier to leave it locked, and then to be able to move back and forth to either different folders or different collections to search for. So you have next week, so you should become library ninjas. So really start playing with this in terms of creating collections and moving photos into collections. I will tell you that for the next session, I will send you a link, and I'll have to think how to do it so you can download it. It will be a zip file. It will be a large zip file. It will be a catalog of images that we will start to work with in the develop module, with the idea being that if we all work on the same images, then you have a good sense for how the tools will work on different images. And so now we can start working with the fun part. And you know, if, we haven't talked a whole lot about some of the other ways that we can get images into Lightroom or dealing with the past. But again, we can either bring in images through the add command if we wanted to keep the structure of how they are in the computer, or we could also say move, where you could take this folder of a mess and then move it into Lightroom by year and month. And you don't have to do a whole group of folders at a time. You could do individual ones, and that may make it more manageable. So I hope that this gives you tools to start thinking through your own organizational challenges, because I find that that's what I work with people, unfortunately, more than anything else with Lightroom. And so I think that once you get the concept down, it's pretty simple. Download by year and month, or year, month, and day, and put your better stuff into collections. And that's basically it. You should be able to import from photos, but I should give you warnings that it may not work very well. So what you can do in the Mac, go to File, and then plug in extras, and then import from Photo or Aperture or iPhotos library. No guarantees that will work particularly well. So we've got that. So go out and have fun, play with the program, push sliders, and we'll pick it up in a bit of time. Yes.